Are you afraid of this man?
Nope.
Yes, you are. Stop lying. Because I'm terrified. And with AEW ratings bottoming out again this week, Shad Khan just might be the hero that AEW needs. Today, we're going to talk about how Tony Khan continues to die by the sword of professional wrestling with death by 683,000 paper cuts, why AEW needs an adult in the room, and if Tony Khan just took the worst bump I've ever seen. Subscribe in Swahili, because 20,000 times is 9.
AEW, like the Pepsi of pro wrestling, WWE's like the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling, and I'm really proud of what we do down here.
All right, Tony, we're gonna
Tony Khan always swore he would never play an on-screen character, and even though he was in the go-home angle on Dynamite, he was telling the truth. I don't know what Tony Khan was doing in the main event angle this past Wednesday, but it certainly wasn't playing a character.
AEW, like the Pepsi of pro wrestling.
Let's go. If you could gaze into the future.
Wasn't doing much of anything. His stage presence was so weak, it took a minute for me to even notice he was there. And we have to talk about these Tony Khan bars. Drop that shit.
AEW, like the Pepsi of pro wrestling, WWE's like the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling, and I'm really proud of what we do down here.
Trigger what? As one of the best stand-ups in the country and a GOAT writer, I can appreciate the attempt at a WWE roast joke, but the delivery is all wrong. Like, why would you compare Pepsi to Harvey Weinstein? I'd never advise somebody to make a sexual predator joke on the NFL Network, but if I did, at least compare AEW to a beloved Hollywood filmmaker for the sake of congruency, so the Weinstein reference hits harder. Like maybe say AEW was, I don't know, the Jordan Peele of wrestling. It's like if I said I'm the Malcolm X of the wrestling media and JD from New York is the Lululemon. Like what? Malcolm X and Lululemon are two entirely different categories. Sure, maybe some people will get the point I'm trying to make because Lululemon's founder is a low-key racist like Cousin Jerry, but I could have made that point much more effectively by comparing Jerry to a bigoted historical figure who's an enemy of Malcolm X, like Bull Connor or Papa John. AEW has an authority problem. At this point, it goes without saying. I talk about it all the time on this app. In fact, I'll have a whole playlist about it when we're done here. There hasn't been a true AEW authority figure since Cody Rhodes left. Documentary coming soon because we make movies on this channel.
That is good.
Tony Khan put his lack of authority on full display in the final segment. It was like Bix trying to give dating advice to a fraternity. Anyway, if you're not familiar with the dynamic between Tony Khan and the AEW locker room, just watch Tony's exchange with Jack Perry and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Tony Khan basically skipped to the ring with that gee golly Willikers look on his face. After costing Tony Khan his meal ticket in CM Punk, Khan suppressed any perceived anger with Jack Perry and was nodding along like a beta-ass buffoon.
Hook has a 28-1 career record.
And agreeing with everything Jungle Boy said before Perry could even finish his first sentence. Such scared to death energy. I don't need a body language expert to tell me that. Tony Khan's de-escalation tactic was basically a bear hug, but with the arms of a muskrat. When Perry, the suspicious heel wearing all black, asked Khan for a handshake, Tony couldn't shake that jungle hand fast enough, and he basically licked his face. Then Perry turned on Khan, who took the worst bump in AEW history, but not the worst bump in wrestling history, because Vince McMahon's stunner bump at WrestleMania 38 is still goated. I mean, woted. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, take a Meltzer driver from the Young Bucks. I couldn't believe my eyes. AEW was really trying to book Tony Khan like he was Eric Bischoff in these streets. But at least when Eazy-E took a gut punch, he didn't sell it like he was diving into a ball pit at McDonald's Play Place. Turns out Tony Khan really doesn't know how to take a bump. Complete beta energy that illustrated the lack of authority that has been the #1 reason for AEW's downturn since 2022.
AEW,
Like the Pepsi of pro wrestling.
It's fitting that Dynamite drew its worst rating in years on the strength of this segment and coming off a pay-per-view built around Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay wrestling each other to death. But what saved this all-elite shit show and what may end up saving AEW is Big Daddy Shad, the final boss. Shad pulled up with a look on his face that exemplified more authority in 5 seconds than Tony Khan has shown in the past 5 years. To quote Big Alfred Kunawa himself, not gonna lie, I was legit intimidated when Shad pulled up. I saw him and hoped he hadn't seen any of my takes about his son. Shad's got the rage face, the villain mustache, and he looks like Dr. Robotnik right after Sonic bumped any of his battleships. This should be AEW's authority figure. This reminded me of when I was home alone and me and my friends were up to no good, you know, riding bicycles without our helmets on in the cul-de-sac, only for my African dad to pull up like, what the fuck is going on here? Huh? That's what that look was from Shad. The what the fuck is going on here look. Shad Khan was stalking that AEW ring with a purpose, and it just felt like a real man was in charge of the company. I don't know how else to say it. It remains to be seen whether he was pissed about the beating his son took in the ring or the beating AEW is taking financially, because maybe he knows something about AEW's new TV deal that we don't. What did Shad Khan say on Dynamite? Wrong answers only. Shad, what did you do with the money, Tony? Tony, Dad, I'm playing wrestling with my friends right now. I should have used protection. He spent how much? What do you mean CM Punk doesn't work here anymore? You paid millions for 2 wrestlers. Why is the show still shit? Why haven't you fired Jericho yet? So this is where all the money I gave him is going into? Looks at Tony, makes mental note to stop donating to GOP. He's pro-choice now. Kayfabe, my boy's been hurt. Reality, he's grounded for spending too much money. Either way, Shad Khan and his mustache fit right into the wrestling world in ways Tony Khan's presence, or lack thereof, does not. Tony can read all the words in the Wrestling Observer he wants. Presence cannot be taught. Shad has presence. He looks like a carny wrestling promoter, and above all else, he has authority, both on and off screen, because not only would he be believable as an authority figure, AEW was started with Shad's money.
I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this.
By the way, it's an election year, and my new favorite way to read news is through ground news. With ground news, you can compare headlines and stories based on media bias and find out just how much a news site leans left, right, or center. They should invent this service for wrestling news bias one day. But point is, I love this service so much, I personally reached out, they became today's partner, and now you'll love them too. Shad Khan made me think twice about anything I say about Tony Khan moving forward. Like, I'm still gonna say it, don't worry, but I'll be looking over my shoulder after, like when I'd watch Cornhub while my dad was lurking around the house. Man, I had this Tony Khan joke I was gonna tell about that terrible bump he took and how he flopped worse than Dynamite's viewership, but with Big Mad Shad lurking around, I'm not telling that joke, no way. No way I'm gonna roast Tony Khan for selling a gut punch the way LeBron sells a foul in the paint. The last thing I want to do is get on Shad's bad side. AEW needs to seriously consider adding Shad Khan as an authority figure. He doesn't have to be the every week character like Vince McMahon in his prime. He could be like a Jack Tunney type, or JJ Dillon in WCW, the voice of reason in AEW. And oh, by the way, AEW's new Worst Order reboot with the Elite has to include Swerve Strickland, because just like I said days ago, AEW is tearing down its own company just days before they finally put the strap on a black man, then watch them blame Swerve when they can't draw. Well, AEW didn't draw this week again, and it has nothing to do with Swerve. Swerve is carrying around a damaged title on a show that booked him as the 4th most important part of what should have been his coronation. He didn't get to speak. He didn't get to receive the obligatory "you deserve it" chance. He wasn't booked like somebody who just made Black history. He was booked like a Black history teacher, and a substitute teacher at that. The IWGP title, the FTW title, the TBS title, and the AEW tag team titles came off as a bigger deal than Swerve's AEW World Championship title on this show. Hopefully AEW makes up for it with a bigger audience and an NBA lead-in on Collision, because so far, everything I've said about Swerve's world title run being patronizing and half-assed has come true. The Elite's super heel faction is perfect for Swerve Strickland to contend with, especially because the missing piece is a heel Hangman Adam Page, Swerve's hated rival. The Elite's takeover is the biggest story in AEW, and if they're a foil for Swerve, it'll make this World Championship mean something. But God help me, if they do an angle where Hangman wins a strap and the white savior Will Ospreay comes in to save the day in Wembley, I'll be storming around my living room the way Shad Khan was storming around Daly's place at the end of Dynamite. I have 683,000 reasons why building your product around professional wrestling doesn't draw, and Swerve ain't one. Because with the right booking, Swerve will draw more people to a television set than Dave Meltzer does to a message board.
Let me tell you something. There's common blood here. Common blood. And no matter what goes down, I love you. Can you do this?
Check out this Tony Twitter Fingers playlist and subscribe. Should Shad Khan be a permanent character on AEW TV as the final boss? Tell me in the comments!